This is a part of MOOC on nature-based solutions and green-blue urban infrastructure. Topic 1. World population and urban development. Context of this topic will be in world population, urban development, world urban population and megacities, and urban demand. First part is world population. An environment is a system of living things. The earth is our environment. The capacity of our environment to provide space, to produce food, and to supply energy are all limited. Humans drive on less than 17% of the Earth's surface and only about 4% in grow crops. We depend on these limited resources for our survival, yet we are increasing our population as if they were infinite. Currently, world population is around 7.8 billion and it is projected to be increased. About age group, active working group is the highest percentage with 40.6% of world population, and sex ratio is almost same among this group of people. For elderlies, more than 65 years old group people takes 9.33% of world population, and 55.1% of this group of people is female, showing that women live longer than men. From this illustration, you can see projected population growth from 1950 to 2100 with sex ratio. World population growth was slow in earlier time. Then while living conditions were improved, population growth was increased faster than before. It is estimated that the world population reached 1 billion for the first time in 1003. It was another 124 years before it reached 2 billion in 1927. But it took only 33 years to reach 3 billion in 1960. Thereafter, the global population reached 4 billion in 1975, 5 billion in 1987, 6 billion in 1999, and 7 billion in 2011. According to current projection, the global population will reach 8 billion by 2024 and is likely to reach around 9 billion by 2038. This shows that world population growing faster and faster. Also, alternative scenarios for 2050 range from a low of 7.4 billion to a high of more than 10.6 billion. Projected figures vary different depending on underlying statistical assumptions and the variables used in projection calculations, especially the fertility variables. This is world population in 2018. There are 2 billion countries in the world, which are China and India. Asia is the biggest continent in the world by its population with around 60% of total world population. One must-known measurement of population is population density. It is a measurement of population per unit area. Generally, it refers to the number of people living in an area per square kilometer. Now, let's see how world population density has grown from 1961 to 2017. You can recognize the change of world population density. Then, let's see world population change by countries from 1800 to 2019. Now you will see rapid population growth of China and India. Parties, urban development. Here, it is a part of an introduction video about the origin of the cities by One Skite with TED Education. In earlier days of human history, humans were hunter-gatherers, often moving from place to place for searching food. But about 10,000 years ago, our ancestors began to learn selective breeding and early agricultural techniques. For the first time, people could raise food, raid it, and search for it, and this led to the development of semi-permanent villages. Why I am saying semi-permanent villages is because of that. At first, the villages still had to relocate every few years as the soil became depleted. It was only with the advent of techniques like irrigation and soil tilling, about 5,000 years ago, people could rely on a steady and long-term supply of food, making permanent settlement possible. And with the food surpluses that this technique is produced, it was no longer necessary for everyone to farm. This allowed the development of other specialized trades by extension of cities. With these cities now producing surplus food as well as tools, crafts, and other goods, there was now possibility of commerce and interaction over longer distances, and as trades flourished, so did technologies that facilitated it like carts, ships, roads, and ports. Of course, these things required even more labor to build and maintain. So more people were drawn from the countryside to the cities as more jobs and opportunities became available. So now, let's see how urban area is defined. Most people can agree that cities are places where large numbers of people live and work. They are hubs of government, commerce, and transportation. But how best to define the geographical limits of a city is a matter of some debate. So far, no standardized international criteria exist for determining the boundaries of the city, and often multiple boundary definitions are available for any given city. As defined in the World Cities in 2018 data booklet by the United Nations, city or an urban area has three definitions. One type of definition, sometimes referred to as the city proper, describes the city according to an administrative boundary. A second approach, termed the urban agglomeration, considers the extent of the contiguous urban area or built-up area to delineate the city's boundaries. A third concept of the city, the metropolitan area, defines its boundaries according to the degree of economic and social interconnectedness of nearby areas, identified by interlinked commerce or commuting patterns, for example. Also, urban area is defined differently by countries. For example, in Argentina, national definition of urban is localities with 2,000 inhabitants or more. In Sweden, urban area is built-up areas with 200 inhabitants or more and where houses are at most 200 meters apart. In Singapore, urban means entire population. Also, as we know, urban area is a location characterized by high human population density and many built environment features comparison to the areas surrounding it. Urban areas are created and further developed by the process of urbanization. Modern urban areas are developing with high technology, economic growth, and densely population. Next part is world urban population and megacities. Here, it is an illustration created in 2014 by Mashabal shows growth of urban population. A significant difference between past, now, and future of urban population is considered in Asia and Africa. While world total population is growing, urban population is also growing and projected to be grow in the future. According to the data from the United Nations, more than half of the world's population already lives in cities, and that figure will not stop increasing. It seems significant to know at a glance what percentage of the population of each country lives in urban areas. In red-colored countries where more than 75% of the population reside in cities. For example, United States, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, United Kingdom, Germany, and France. Also, if we are talking about urban population, we have to know about what is megacity. You can find a definition of megacity from any dictionary. Megacity is a very large city with more than 10 million population. Of the world's 33 megacities, 27 are located in the less developed regions. China alone was home to 6 megacities in 2018, while India had 5. 9 of the 10 cities projected to become megacities between 2018 and 2030 are located in developing countries. Between 2000 and 2018, the populations of the world's cities with 500,000 inhabitants or more grew at an average annual rate of 2.4%. However, 36 of the cities grew more than twice as fast, with average growth in excess of 6% per year. Of these, 7 are located in Africa, 28 is in Asia, 17 in China alone, and 1 in Northern America. Among the 36 fastest growing cities, 25 have a long history of rapid population growth, with average annual growth rates above 6% for the period 1980 to 2000. It is a list of 10 most populous cities in the world in 2018 and 2030. Between 2018 and 2030, the population of Delhi, India is projected to increase by more than 10 million inhabitants, whereas that of Tokyo, Japan is projected to decline by almost 900,000. The two cities are thus expected to change places on the list of the world's cities ranked by population. Projections indicate that the world's 10th largest cities in 2018, Osaka, Japan, will no longer be among the 10 largest cities in 2030. Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of the Congo, will grow to rank as the 10th most populous cities in the world in 2030. The last part is urban demand. There are many examples across broad areas of development which suggests that on average living standards are higher in urban populations than in rural. Some examples include resource and removal. As urban population is growing, resources of food, fresh water, energy, and space are needed. Then, removal of all kinds of waste, including wastewater, solid waste, food waste, and waste gas is needed. Since urbanization shows a strong correlation with income, such relationships may instead simply show the effect of higher incomes in electricity access, sanitation, drinking water, and nutrition. Furthermore, there can be also significant inequalities within urban areas. This is evidenced by the fact that across many low to middle-income countries, a high share of the urban population lives in slum households, which lack access to all the basic resources. It may seem there are many problems related to the population growth. However, the world is trying to solve these problems and find solutions. The biggest and wide principle for solving problems and finding solutions is the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. At its heart are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, which are an urgent call for action by all countries, developed and developing, in a global partnership. They recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and working to preserve our oceans and forests. All figures, graphs, and illustrations which was shown here are downloaded from the public open sources. Please follow the links of each illustrations for more detailed information. Thank you for your attention.